Hello, my name is Brian Aslin, and for today I'm going to be doing a math problem. And for me, math is one thing when I'm looking at equations and stuff like that. It's another thing when I can apply it to my own life. So I'm going to be showing a chocolate chip cookie recipe for a way so I can show how to use adding fractions and multiplying fractions. Now don't worry, I'm still going to write down the equations in a book here, and I am following a recipe. But I feel that this is a way that I'm not only showing a math problem, and I'm going to work out the equation so I can show you how I'm getting to certain points, but also it's a way that I apply math in my everyday use, which I feel is a lot more than just staring at an equation. Now for this recipe, it is going to call for 2 1/4 cups of flour. It's also going to ask for, I'm going to be making both a 3 times batch, which I'm going to call an experimental batch, and I'm going to follow the recipe. So there's actually 4 times the amount of cookies, but I'm making both a 3 times batch, which is an experimental, and a control batch where I'm following the recipe step by step. And then in the end, one of the ways to calculate or check my work is if the cookies taste similar or the same when I'm going to make a new recipe and following the recipe. Now, the next thing it is asking for is a teaspoon of baking soda. And what I'm giving here is the original recipe here. The next thing it's going to ask for is a teaspoon of salt. The next thing it's going to ask for is 3/4 cup of sugar. And then after that, it's going to be 3/4 cup of brown sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, two large eggs, a cup of butter, and 1 2/3 cup of chocolate chips. Now, since this recipe is going to be breaking things down into teaspoons, tablespoons, cups, quarter cups, half cups, 3/4 cups, thirds of cups, and 2/3 of cups, it's going to be using fractions. So as we can see here, the recipe calls for 1 teaspoon equals 1 tablespoon, a cup, 1/4 a cup, if we're going to break it down to the decimals, is 0.25, and then half a cup is 0.5, 3/4 is 0.75, 1/3 is 0.333, and 2/3 is 0.666. Now when we're dealing with fractions, we have both a numerator and a denominator. Now for some of these, since we're asking for 3 teaspoons, we know 3 teaspoons is going to automatically equal 1 tablespoon in the recipe. So let's look at the recipe and let's write the new recipe based off doing our fractions as we go. Now, we have, for the flour, we're going to have to figure that out. That's 2 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. So to do that, let's figure out what the new recipe is going to do for it. Now, there's 2 ways that we can add and subtract fractions. The first is we just simply add it. So it's 2 1/4 plus 2 1/4 plus 2 1/4. So the easiest way to do that is when we're adding fractions, we do not add the denominators, we only add the numerators. So when we add 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, we get 3/4. And then 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 6. So we have one answer here. By adding them, we get 6 3/4. Now, another way to do this is through multiplication. Now with multiplication, we need to turn this 2 1/4 into, we're going to need to do some adding to figure out exactly how many fourths there are in here. So 4/4 equals 1. So we have 2. So we have 4/4 plus 4/4 equals 8/4. And then we need to add plus 1/4 equals 9/4. Now, we're multiplying this by 3. So 3/1 is equal to 3. So 3 over 1 times 9 over 4 equals 27/4. Now, to figure out how we're going to get how many cups, we need to simplify this. So to simplify this, we're going to do some division. So we got 4 divided by 27 equals, well, I like to break down my division this way. The first thing I'm going to do is 4 and 27. So let's see here. The things that we know that 4, well, we know it can go into 20. 4 times 5 is 20. But looks, that's going to be a little short, so we want to add another 4. So if we add 20, so times 6 equals 24. So 6 times 4 equals 24. We're going to subtract that from 27. We got a 3. Oh. So now we put a decimal up, and we are going to do, once again, we know 6 times 4 equals 24. Well, if we add another 4, so let's try 7 times 4, that equals 28. So, and we have a 2, so we got 6.7, and then we're going to, we know that 5 times 4 equals 20. 20. So 6.75 is what we have. So if we bring up a calculator and do the math on this, because we're going to be doing 27 divided by 4, it equals 6.75. Now when we go back to our conversion table, and the 0.75 is 3/4. So we know that, once again, for this one, when we did the multiplying, we got 6 3/4. So we know for our new recipe, the flour is going to be 6 3/4 cup. Now, six and 3/4. The next one is the next part is the teaspoons of both baking soda, salt, and in all truth, we can also, since we know the vanilla extract is also, but we'll get to that later, but we know 1 teaspoon or 3 teaspoons equals 1 tablespoon. So, doing the math, we know that's 1 TBS, which is abbreviation for tablespoon, of baking soda and 1 tablespoon of salt. Now, when it comes to butter, we know that 1 stick of butter equals, as we can look at the numbers here, it equals 1/2 cup. So 2 sticks of butter will equal 1 cup. And since we're doing the multiple by 3, we need 6 sticks butter. Now we're on to our next fraction now, which is both the granulated sugar and the brown sugar. And that's asking for 3/4. So we're going to go back and now figure out for sugar. Now we're going to first do the adding. 3/4 plus 3/4 plus 3/4 equals 9/4. When we simplify, that's going to be 2 1/4. Now let's do the multiplication. So 3 times 3 equals 9. 4 times 1 equals 4. So 9/4. When we break that down, that's going to be, well, we broke it down that way, but we're going to do some more division here. So 9 divided by 4 equals 2. It's going to be 8, 1, and then another 2. It's going to be 8. The 2. And then we have a 20 with 5. So 4 times 2, 4 times 2, 4 times 5. It's 8, 8, 20. And so when we figure this out, we got 2.25, and we're going to go back over to our little conversion because we know it's 2 cups plus 0.25. So with this one, for the sugar, we got 2 1/4 both ways. And if we go on the calculator, once again, 9 divided by 4 equals 2.25. So that's what the calculator says, and so we know it's 2 1/4 whichever way we move it. Now, we know it's 2 1/4 cup sugar and 2 1/4 cup brown sugar. Now, we already did the teaspoons to tablespoons, so we know that's 1 tablespoon vanilla And 2 large eggs, 2 times 3 equals 6. And when it comes to the chocolate chips, once again, we're going to have to do some math on this one. Remembering the numerator the top, denominator the bottom. So it's time to figure out the chocolate chips. So we know for the recipe it's 1 2/3 cup. So we're going to multiply this by 3. So if we're going to add it, 1 2/3 plus 1 2/3 plus 1 2/3. Well, we know if we add the ones, that's going to be 3. So 2/3 plus 2/3 plus 2/3 equals 6/3. And I'm pretty sure that 6 divided by 3 equals 2. So we're adding 3 plus 2 equals 5 cups. So now let's do the multiplication on that. So the first thing we need to do is we need to take the 1 2/3 and create the equal. So 3/3 equals 1. So 3/3 plus 2/3 equals 5/3. Now it's time to do the multiplication. 5/3 times 3 equals 15/3. Now, to break this down, 15 divided by 3 equals 5, or 5 times 3 equals 15. So we know the 15 is going to be divided by 3 5 times, so we have 5 cups. And when we plug that into the calculator, 15 divided by 3 equals 5. So there we go. We have the final part of the new recipe is 5 cups of chocolate chips. Now it's time to see if my new recipe, which is 6 3/4 cup of flour, 1 tablespoon of baking soda, 1 tablespoon of salt, 6 sticks of butter, 2 1/4 cups of sugar, and 2 1/4 cups of brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of vanilla, 6 eggs, and 5 cups of chocolate chips is equal to this recipe of 2 1/4 cups all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 cup of butter, 3/4 cup granulated sugar, 3/4 cups packed brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 2 large eggs, 1 2/3 cups of chocolate chip. So here we have the control recipe, and here we have the 3 times batch recipe. And to taste test them, we're going to have Sherry Aslin, my mother, who has a degree in economics from BYU.
Home economics.
From home economics, so she knows how to bake, and she's going to tell us if they taste similar or different. Okay, so first you're trying the control recipe.
Delicious cookie.
Okay, now try a bite of the experimental. 3 times. And how do they taste?
Delicious, and there's no difference.
Thank you.